Aryna Sabalenka, and David, a word she said 3 times in that short clip of an interview was calm. It's a word that others have used when they say how it felt playing against her. They felt she was calm, and that's going to be the key for Sabalenka if she's to reach her first Grand Slam final, is to stay calm and control those emotions.
Yeah, because it's all there. Skills-wise, power-wise, she completely overmatches Magda Linette as a physical specimen and as a presence and a force on the court. But she can lose it. She can get derailed if she doesn't stay calm. And actually, Donna Vekic, who she beat in the previous round, Vekic had a 5-1 record against Sabalenka coming into that match, and Vekic had told her coach Pam Shriver this week that one of the keys to her previous victories over Sabalenka was that I stayed calm. And she said the difference here from all those other meetings was that Sabalenka stayed calm yesterday in their quarterfinal match. And I mean, what a combination that ends up being. A player with these skills and this power staying composed. Quite something.
I don't know who said calm more, you, me or Sabalenka, David.
Between us, we got there.
We've covered, but Adam, it is a big thing with Sabalenka. That's what she's talked about, working on the mental side of things. It's in the moment. Can she control everything? Can she stay? Because as David rightly said, on paper, and she leads 2-0 in the head-to-head, she's better in Linette in every aspect.
Yeah, she definitely is. I mean, she could come into this match and just completely blast Linette off the court. That's her capability, but you always feel that there's extra nerves, aren't there, in a Grand Slam semi, and the more times she reaches a semi-final and doesn't get through, it just adds that more pressure, and the question marks on her shoulders as to what goes wrong in her head when the stakes become high and suddenly her game falls apart. And she's a player that's always been a little bit raw. We first saw her, I remember seeing her at Eastbourne on the grass courts when she came from nowhere and just made it through, I think, to the finals when she was very, very young. And it was so exciting. She was so noisy. She was like this bundle of energy, just kind of blasting her way through the draw with so much raw power. And of course she's had her ups and downs, and she's become a little bit more consistent. She's learned a lot about herself, but I've always loved her honesty. In fact, I remember, Gigi, that particular year I had to interview her after one of her matches, and she said, please talk slowly, I don't speak very good English. And you think back to that time now and how fluent she is in her language skills and articulation and vocabulary. I mean, that's a long way away. I mean, she's pretty confident in her English now. I just think she's a terrific personality and great for the women's game.
And David, I know it might seem a long time ago, but if the first serve is missed, we'll always sort of have a little bit of an intake of breath, because it is an astonishing number. 2022, 428 double faults.
It was an astonishing number, and a year ago she was hitting underarm serves, not to try to catch her opponents out, but just to try to get the thing in. And she had the yips, she couldn't serve. And she still found a way to win some matches, which I think was really impressive, actually, the perseverance she showed in that regard. But since then, she's worked with a biomechanist to try to understand what was going wrong. I think that the mere process of that led to her probably freeing up mentally and believing that she'd sorted it out. And maybe by believing she sorted it out, that's what did sort it out. I don't know, but the fact is she's not hitting anywhere near as many double faults now. That's become a much more secure shot, and I think we're now seeing Aryna Sabalenka arrive at the level that she was always capable of, and that's formidable, frightening, and very exciting.
It is, I think, exciting, definitely the word. And I think she's going to, if she hasn't already, feature in the Netflix episodes Break Point, because I remember back end of last year the cameras were following her around, so maybe we'll get to know her a little bit better. It's a little bit cooler, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind predictor that we get shown before every match, it's 76% in favour of the lady serving now, Aryna Sabalenka, here on Tennis Breakfast. We've had the voices of Pat Cash, Russell Fuller, David Law, alongside myself, Gigi Salmon, Annabelle Croft, as we look to enjoy this one. But it's a forehand thundered into the net by the Belarusian.
Yeah, not a great start from her, is it? You could see she was just trying to sort of boss bully and maybe intimidate right from the word go in this match. And she's just breathing quite high up in her chest, taking a big sigh, just trying to calm herself down. So already you can sense that there's a few sort of nervous moments going through Sabalenka.
The redirection up the line with the backhand from Linette, who plays the squash up cross court to keep it in play. It goes down the line, backhand cross court from Linette. So good on defence, Magda Linette. Backhand, she's inside the baseline. Linette, she's moving Sabalenka around. She's drawing the error, and it's love 13.
Well, what a perfect start from Linette, who looks anything but intimidated out here. She looked very solid in that point, very calm, moving the ball around and doing exactly what she needs to do. Not giving herself, or giving herself big margins, not going too close to the lines. A lot to think about in this opening service game from Sabalenka.
Magda Linette in her first Grand Slam semi-final. Heavy serve that misses down the tee. It kicks up and bounces long. Ball girl scurries out to collect back alongside the umpire's chair. The swaying of Linette, the bouncing of the ball from Sabalenka. Up goes Sabalenka, serves, kicks it up high. The forehand sits up high, brought down, off, overcooks it by away, Sabalenka. She is one of those players that gives you fabulous facial expressions. I mean, you know exactly how she's feeling. The moment, it's frustration because she's love 40 down.
Yeah, and Linette was interesting because obviously in the quarterfinal against Pliskova, she said that was new territory for her as well. But, she said it didn't bother her. She said, because I've been used to and had experience of playing these big names on big show courts all the way through my career. And so that's helped me.
Wow, break to love for Magda Linette. She might be out there thinking, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. I've never been beyond a third round. I'm not expected to win. She's more powerful than me in all these areas. But what she's done is maybe taken advantage of a few early nerves in this match and broken to love.
Yeah, no question about it, Gigi. And that in itself will give her an enormous boost, knowing that her opponent is clearly, nerves jangling down the other end. And as you say, she's taken advantage of it. She's getting loose, unforced areas right from the word go. And I'm sure she's changing ends right now at One Love, thinking, you know what, I definitely can win this match if my opponent is feeling like that against me down the other end.
Absolutely. And now we get a first look at the serve of Magda Linette. 2022, her best was a runner-up showing at Chennai. She won a couple of doubles titles. And all 4 career top 10 wins for Magda Linette have come at the Grand Slam stage. She performs on this stage, but this is now the biggest stage of them all as Sabalenka hits a service return winner.
Well, she blasted that one, didn't she? That was swatted away. It hit the line, shot through the court. We could see Linette just staring down at it. She couldn't believe that one went past her. Sabalenka, you just sense, just trying to galvanise her thoughts and get herself back together.
Something close to baseline, but she backhands into that, and you heard the come on from Linette, who has a British team. Mark Gellard is her coach and Ian Hughes is acting as consultant. $15 all. Sabalenka doesn't really move the top half of the body, but the legs are continually moving as Linette aces the Belarusian down the tee.
Well, serve has been one of the most impressive aspects of her game, making her way through these championships. And she kept saying that, she's constantly having to talk to herself and sort of calm herself down. And if it doesn't always work, she says, don't panic. Just, keep finding the right technique.
Serve kicked up really well. Linette is at the net. She cuts the volley short. She's left it open. She will find the open court, showing all the weapons she has in her armoury, and she moves to game points.
And I think she's been proud of how she's sort of dealt with things out there emotionally on the court during the course of these championships. And everything looks very composed at the moment.
Game points.
Fold.
A little bit of tape on the right knee, a little bit of the kinesio tape. It's flesh-coloured kinesio tape, giving the kneecap a little bit of support. Kicks up the serve. Ooh, Sabalenka is not reading this serve of Magda Linette in the early stages, and she consolidates to 15 and leads the 5th seed by 2 games to love.
Well, she's all over the place, Gigi. I mean, couldn't have been a worse start for her. I mean, she's hardly making the court. Way too many errors, just short, sharp points. I feel like she needs to get stuck into a good rally, Sabalenka. Sometimes if there's so much adrenaline going through your body, you need to move those feet, get the footwork going, and really just shake off some of that adrenaline by playing a really nice long point. I haven't had a single rally, really.
Big serve inside the baseline, back behind goes Sabalenka off the big serve, and she's on the board. 15-love. Sabalenka twists the racket in the right hand, just takes first ball from the back of the court. 24 years of age, stands at 5 foot 11 inches tall, making her 6th appearance here at Melbourne Park. Not happy with the ball toss, probably distracted by the seagulls who tend to appear into the evening, and it's 9:56 p.m. local time. Serve out wide, misses. A stray strand of hair is just tucked back under the grip that on the top of the Sabalenka head. Now stretching up with a second serve, goes out wide but drops that one a bit short. The backhand cross got beauty of an angle from Sabalenka.
Well, I was just interested to see where that second serve landed, and it's looking nice technique. It looks pretty solid, and she's not going for the lines. This one is quite inside the box. It's got quite a lot of rearing kick on it, but what a beautiful strike off the backhand, right round the outside of that ball, and that just was going and travelling and moving away from Linette. There was no chance she was ever going to reach that one.
Linette's on her toes. She's got a second serve to look at. Still standing away back from the baseline. She stands back a little bit more, plays the backhand through the middle of the court, and very deep, a short forehand off her toes there. Sabalenka hits a very deep but too deep backhand, and Linette's on the board in game 3.
It just looked like that ball is flying off her strings a little bit. She was late on that backhand. She needed to get more work on the ball, and it came off the strings quite flat, carried on travelling and lost control of it, and that again is just still nerves, I think. I feel like, as I said before, I feel like she needs a really good long rally.
Serve out wide, she gets a mid-court ball. No. Didn't settle herself. Drags it wide, and it's 30-all.
Yeah, she seems so uptight at the moment that she's trying to get rid of the ball for just a quick winner. And I suppose she's feeling like she wants to stamp authority, and that's how she does win a lot of points. When you're this nervous, though, she's not controlling the ball. I mean, I feel like it could go anywhere right now.
30-all, love 2. Serve down the tee. The backhand is in play. Azarenka the forehand. You can hear what Azarenka is putting into these shots right now. She goes cross court again, but Linette finds the court and up the line. Win, and there's a come on, and maybe that is just the release that Sabalenka needed. Game point.
Yeah, it was a bit risky, wasn't it? I mean, judging by the way she's been hitting it, that was pretty risky to go for such a big winner there. She was pulled right outside the court.
That was enormous.
It was huge. Emotion already just spilling out of Sabalenka.
Misses the serve down the tee. Discards that ball as it came back onto her racket, and takes the ball from the teal-coloured shorts that she's wearing under the dress. The force of nature Nike dress. Serve out wide. Backhand cross court to the backhand. Trying to find the angle. Tried the redirection. Linette doesn't get it. That is a point and a game for Sabalenka, who is on the board. And does it feel like at the moment with the nerve she also doesn't want to get into any baseline battles with Linette?
Maybe. I think you could be right. I mean, I think she thought she was going to come out, just stamp authority from the word go, and she would control and dictate the pace and the way that this match would be. It's on her racket and her terms. But it was such a terrible start from her. I just feel like she's just going to try to grit her way through the early part of this match and try to get the break back, and then sort of try to take and wrestle back control the way she wanted to start the match. But I feel like she's rushing. I mean, everything about what she's doing, just the whole body language, the stress on her face, the walk in between. She's just fretting down there. It's like, you know, when we watch horses before they're going into a race and they're kind of fretting in the paddock before going out. I feel like that's where she's at. Whereas Linette down the other end is just a picture of calmness, composure. Looks like she's well prepared for this match, both mentally and physically, and she's just getting the ball back into play, letting Azarenka just sort of unravel a bit down there.
Thank you.
They're very businesslike from Magda in these early stages. Sabalenka rolls her shoulder. She has the tattoo of a tiger on her left forearm, forearm. She says it's given her the nickname of Tiger, served down the tee. It's like how she plays, sort of aggressive and to go on the attack. But at the moment, the radar is off and she misses the court once again.
Yeah, and that's just a loose, unforced error. You've just got yourself on the scoreboard. You want to make Linette at least have to work for some of these points, and that's just a loose ball.
Already 7 unforced errors from Sabalenka through 3 games. Short return, scooped up cross court from Linette. And instantly, if you hear that little come on, that is the voice of Magda Linette. She moves to 30 love.
Well, she turned the racket face over there and spun that ball into the net. That won't have felt good. And she's looking across at her camp, looking a bit exasperated.
Serve out wide from Linette, who scoops up the ball off her toes on the baseline. Linette, then she hits a flat backhand up the line. Forehand whip cross court from Sabalenka. Up the line goes Linette. She's got Sabalenka on the stretch. You heard the come on again, and she moves. She eases her way, should I say, to 40 love.
And it's incredible, isn't it? Because when I listened back to the press conference of Linette and they asked her about playing Sabalenka, she said, well, the last time we met was a disaster. It couldn't get any worse than that match at the Olympics where she really hardly got any games at all. I think 3 games she achieved, 2 and 1. And yet this couldn't be more opposite how this match is being played right now. And it's all about what Sabalenka's doing. She's just not getting the ball in the play.
Yeah, if she gets it in like she got the connection off the serve there, it's an outright winner, or she's missing the court. 2 minutes past 10 in the evening local time. 12 minutes on the match clock. Linette serves down the tee. The off backhand return. The backhand scooped up. That sets up high, and there's a high ball that's brought down backhand cross court by Linette. Flattened out backhand from Sabalenka. Sabalenka backhand down the line. Linette forehand down on her haunches cross court. Steps back. Linette drops a short ball mid court. Backhand up the line. Sabalenka. That is wide, and that's a good point. That's an extended rally that Sabalenka has won, and she keeps the game going.
Well, that's exactly what she needed, was a rally just like that, where she was pushed a little bit deep on the baseline, but she sort of managed to get the racket back, brushing up the back of the ball, putting more shape on it, just kind of getting herself stuck into a rally. Needs a couple more of those.
Game point for Linette. 45 in the world at the start of this, currently sitting at 22 due to this run. Backhand is netted from Linette. Now there's a little bit of pressure at Juice.
Yeah, that was a smart return, wasn't it? Right down the centre of the court, had a little bit of extra pace on it. It was quite low trajectory, but we're seeing a shot of the replay and Linette having to really bend her knees to get down for that one, and she couldn't quite get it over the net. So a bit more pressure back on Linette now. She'll be feeling the level rising down the other end, and that's a miss on the first serve. Quite low into the net, that one.
Inside the baseline, Sabalenka with the wide stance. She's ready to pounce. She's ready to attack. The serve goes down the tee. The backhand's through the middle. Linette with the backhand. They're playing through the middle of the court right now. Then up the line and deep on the backhand goes Sabalenka, who spins that forehand cross court. Down the line goes Linette. Through the middle goes Sabalenka. This is Juice in the 4th game. The angle found by Sabalenka. Does she go down the line? No, she goes back behind it. She gets it. She skids the ball off the side edge of the line, and she has break-back points.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
Well, she's starting to get her composure back, starting to get stuck into this first set. Much better construction of the point, much smoother with the ground stroke. She looks more secure now.
Very wide return of serve stance from Sabalenka. Leans slightly forward. The serve into the body of Sabalenka, pulled out a deep backhand to push Linette back. Linette stretches out to the backhand side. She just finds the court. She drops the ball short, Sabalenka. Sabalenka goes backhand cross court. She's trying to push the Polish player back. What she does do is she draws the error. Now we get a fist pump from the Belarusian because we are back on serve, having played for 14 minutes of this semi-final.
Well, that was impressive, wasn't it? Because she was facing some very difficult moments down love too, and just spraying balls left, right and centre. And she's managed in the last couple of games just to sort of get things back on her terms. She looks smoother, she looks more in control of everything, and a whole different complexion on the match very early on in this set.
This is what makes tennis so fascinating, that great start from Linette. But now how does Linette react to being pegged back, and does Sabalenka continue to grow in confidence? Did just miss that first serve, takes a deep breath. Gold chain with a cross on it. thin gold chain from Sabalenka hangs forward as that serve kicks up, and our forehand cross court from Sabalenka redirects up line from Linette, drops a little bit shorter, backhand down the other end. It's a peach of a backhand from Linette.
Oh, that was lovely, wasn't it? Just how she shaped up to it. I wasn't quite sure which direction she was going to go. I thought she might even go cross court with this, the way she looked, and then suddenly at the last minute just turned the shoulders, struck it down the line beautifully. Really good depth into that corner.
Listening to Tennis Breakfast, it is Thursday morning. I keep thinking it's Saturday. Why do I think it's Saturday?
It feels like Saturday.
Why does it feel like
It's got
it's
a Saturday feel about it.
Does it? Yes, but it's Thursday, so please don't be switching on thinking it's Saturday. It's Thursday morning, Tennis Breakfast. Annabelle and Gigi with you. We have David Law and Russell Fullett in our Melbourne commentary box. The off forehand going back behind Linette misses, and it's love 30.
Just caught that one on the inside of the ball. Sabalenka rushing once again. Linette bouncing around on the baseline, just looking ready to kind of pounce on this next serve.
Love 30. Big serve from Sabalenka, but it's a deep return. It pushes Sabalenka back. The backhand is deep from Linette, and the backhand just catches the line.
Well, she's just rolling the dice on some of these ground strokes. You always feel like that with her. You have to kind of hold your breath, don't you? You're never quite sure where it's going to be a big miss or a big winner, and that time just catching the line.
It's a little bit of a roller coaster watching Sabalenka, the highs and lows, the expressions, the ball striking, the forehand now played down the line, backhand cross court from Linette. It's 15-30, 2 games all. Linette keeping her place, being very aggressive. She's further forward on the baseline. Oh, a lovely angle from Linette. The squash shot from Sabalenka. Forward comes Linette, then backwards goes Linette, who plays the forehand down the line, the backhand back up the line. It's great play from Sabalenka to have stayed in this rally. She turns defence in to attack now. Great defence from Linette, but Sabalenka finishes it off with a cross-court forehand winner.
Oh, that will feel good, won't it? Another really long, extended rally. And as you'd pointed out, at the start of the rally, Sabalenka was so far behind the baseline, and it's difficult for her to impose her game from back there. But she slowly worked her way up towards the baseline until she got a ball where she could really step in and crunch it. And then the winner speed at 142 kilometres an hour, that one. She's got a lot more pace through the court than her opponent.
From love 30 to 30 all, and the serve did its job. It was into the body of Linette. It was just too powerful for the Polish player, standing at 5'7", quite a diminutive figure, Linette. But now a game point for Sabalenka to go ahead for the first time in this semi-final. Takes a deep breath. Her hair is slicked back and then tied into a knot at the back of her head. You can always see it. Already see it slicked with sweat down the sides, and the serve does its job once again. A little look of, I think that was relief from Sabalenka towards her box as she edges ahead 3-2 on serve.
Well, I feel like somehow she's sitting here ahead in the scoreline, but she's not playing great tennis, is she? It's sort of untrustworthy tennis. But somehow she's managed to get her nose out in front, and you have to admire the way she didn't panic too much at 2-love down, and she's found a way to sort of get the ground strokes firing, hit enough winners into the open space. But it's been a bit of an uphill struggle, down love 30 in that last service game as well. So Linette must be sitting here thinking, how on earth am I 3-2 down? Because actually she's played the more solid tennis. And the trouble is, I think anyone who takes on Sabalenka, it's very often nothing to do with you. It's all about what she's doing down the other end of the court, because she's got that power, the weapons, the firepower on the court to just hit a winner from anywhere, and you don't really get any rhythm. You've got to ride the storm and the tornado that's coming at you, and it's pretty tricky.
Perfect way to describe it. Working with her former hitting partner Anton Dubrov, Sabalenka, they've been working together for a while, with him in more of a coaching role, and we talked about all those double faults last year from Sabalenka. She didn't win a title last year, but she was runner-up 3 times, including finishing the season by reaching the WTA finals, run-up to Caroline Garcia, but on the way she beat Jessie Pegula, Ons Jabeur and Iga Swiatek. Gave a lot of confidence closing down the season going into the winter break. And here she is, 9-0 for the season, a title in Adelaide. Has not dropped a set in 2023. And now it's 2-3, love 15 on the Linette serve. Linette serves out wide, the backhand is netted, and it's 15-all.
15-all.
Well, two totally contrasting points right there. A winner, you know, unplayable from Sabalenka on point 1, and then one into the almost bottom of the net on point 2. And Linette just had to totally ignore what's going on down the other end and just keep applying what she can bring into this match. Keeping solid, trying to get good serves into play.
She's over 90% when it comes to first serve percentage, in the 60s. Sabalenka, high ball for Sabalenka, who hit that forehand with all her might. Linette gets it back. Sabalenka goes crunch again, cross court, and Linette says, have another go. Then Linette takes the pace off it. She slices it, sits up, backhand netted. So she gave a different look to Sabalenka, who finds the nets.
Yeah, Sabalenka almost had too much time on that ball. It was quite a slow ball. It was kind of bouncing almost vertically. Had lots of time. She had to reposition the footwork. You could see her dancing around the ball and just thought about it too much. And then generating pace off a no-pace ball was not quite so easy.
30-15 on the baseline. Sabalenka, serve missing down the tee, down the centre line from Magda, Linette. So Sabalenka will come inside the baseline and say, okay, I'm here and I'm ready. So if it's short, it will get the treatment. She's standing a long way in. Backhand cross court, just swings it wide.
Well, she sort of dragged that one wide and she wasn't really in position for it. Went for way too much on the ball. And that ball almost dictated to her strings, and then she pulled right off it. And you can see the reaction after that, raising her head to the skies, just like, oh, what was that?
Game points. Linette served down the tee, the stretch in the game, and she holds for 3-all. Another big thing for Magda, Linette. Aryna Sabalenka, I mentioned, runner-up at the Tour Finals. This is her 4th Grand Slam semi-final. Made an awful lot of money. Magda, Linette, from this run, she is guaranteed $925,000, which roughly makes up, I think, a 5th of her total career earnings.
Oh my goodness, that's extraordinary, isn't it?
And that allows her, as she's been speaking about, to plan, to have a coach with a number of weeks, to maybe take the fitness trainer or the physio with her as she drops shots and she draws Sabalenka in and the ball is up but won't find the court. She says it makes such a difference not to have to be worrying about all those things.
Well, it would do, and it does take the pressure right off. But she's earned it after all these years on the tour, and she said, you know, I'm up into my 30s now, and the body doesn't feel quite the same. You know, there's a different approach she has to some of her training, just so that her body can be a bit fresher.
Sabalenka inside the baseline. Ooh, thunderous 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I think she said she did things a little bit differently in the off-season this year, so that in the past she felt very tired coming into the start of the season because, you know, her team had really hammered her training-wise to get prepared for the next season, whereas this time, because she's now 30, she said they just did it a little bit differently, and I feel fresher. That's why the results have come.
And she's doing well here, standing toe-to-toe with Sabalenka, who had lost just 26 games through 5 rounds ahead of today. Already 3 on the board from Linette, who dictated that point, drew the error, and is on the board 3-all, 30-15.
Yeah, she's definitely giving Sabalenka a good run for her money out here. I also think what was so lovely about what Linette said when she got through that quarterfinal was how thrilled she was for the team, because she knew what effort they had invested in her and really believed in her and all the time they'd put into her. And she said, it's not just a win for me to be in this semi-final, but for my team as well. They deserve it.
Sabalenka should put that away. She does so. She waited for Linette to commit. The court was open, brought down the high forehand, slammed it away, and she has game points for 4-3.
Yeah, much better run of points this from Sabalenka. I mean, it's hard to predict what's going to come next from her. You know, she can play a game like this and then a horror return game. You just don't know what you're going to get. And
this is before we get the pressure and the tension of serving for a set, serving for the match.
Exactly.
Linette on her toes, bouncing up and down. Sabalenka You can see the breeze blowing the bottom of the dress of Sabalenka. She serves down, she drops that one short, the off backhand return, the forehand cross court, very deep from Sabalenka, keeps on the forehand and goes down the line, backhand cross court, Linette, backhand down the line from Sabalenka. Sabalenka with the forehand goes onto the service line. The spinning ball tries to draw Sabalenka in, who stays backwards, but then it's not able to be controlled by Magda, Linette, and she edges ahead once more. I think that is the intriguing thing about someone like Sabalenka. It must be the frustrating thing for someone like Sabalenka, is the unpredictability of it all.
Yes, and I think she gets quite cross with herself when she knows what she's got to do, but it's more about the emotions and the fact that the occasion gets the better of her, and then suddenly it all falls apart and there's nowhere in between. And I think that last couple of points she's just played, she's hitting with power, but with a lot more margin and a lot more shape on the ball. And just the expression on her face when she finished off that game and got the error just purely through pace, but kind of almost going quite central down the court. And it was like, just start playing a little bit more like this, is what she was almost saying to herself. She knows what she's got to do, but she's just got to execute it, and that's the most difficult part.
Interesting little stat thing on social media about Aryna Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion who's through to Saturday's final. She is the first female player to defeat 3 former Grand Slam champions, Iga Świątek, Elena Ostapenko and Victoria Azarenka, in a single edition of the Australian Open since Jennifer Capriati in 2001, who beat Hingis, Davenport and Selesh. 3-4, Magda, Linette. Serving out wide, and the forehand is long, and you can tell the difference between the two voices. Linette just constantly giving herself those sort of positive comments and vibes.
Well, Sabalenka came out from the change of ends and put her racket on the floor, stood on it a couple of times and tried to bounce it around and try and loosen up those strings, and then went into position and then promptly missed the next ball.
Serve out wide, the slice backhand return. In comes Linette. Oh, she didn't get that at all right. She drags it cross court. She tells herself to come on, and it's 15-all.
Not been too many loose, unforced areas out of Linette. A big shrug of the shoulders after that one. I think she's been pretty solid.
10:15 in the evening, 27 minutes on the match clock. There is that breeze. We can see it on the bottom of the dress of Magda Linette. It's sort of... Now, someone would call that kind of seafoam green.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so.
You happy with that?
Yeah, turquoisey sort of pale. It's a nice green, unusual green.
Yeah. And it's a dress with some white trim around the edges, around the shoulders and the neckline, and she's got the same colour as a visor as she serves down the tee, and the forehand's through the middle, but it's short from Sabalenka. Sabalenka spins that ball, sits up, brought down beautifully by Linette for game points as the Polish flags fly in the crowd.
Really, really smart serving from Magda Linette. She's just walking up to the line, taking her time, and then really getting the first serve accurate to where she wants to place it, and it's putting pressure on the returner.
Game points, backhand. She let rip on that Sabalenka, but still the defence of Linette holds firm. The error comes from the Belarusian, and we stay neck and neck. 4 games all, business end, first set.
Yeah, Linette turns around, sort of big fist pump down the other end, and to her support camp as well. But she's much more secure, isn't she? I mean, I think you know what you're going to get with her. And it's more about Sabalenka down the other end. That was not a good game from her once again. That's 2 return games back to back where she hasn't really connected with the ball with, solid play, shape on the ball. It's just loose.
12 of her 13 career semi-finals have come on the hard courts, Magda Linette. Did have some troubles with injuries in recent years, and then as everyone went through the pandemic, and that resulted in changes. There was changes in her coaching team as well, as Sabalenka steps in on a forehand, goes down the line. Sabalenka's out the net, cuts under the volley, the stretch from Linette. We know how good Sabalenka is coming forward. She is a Grand Slam champion on the doubles court here in Australia when she won with Elise Mertens.
Absolutely, and it's something I've always admired in her tennis, the volley skills, that ability to come forward. She's got lovely hand skills around the net, and we've seen matches over the years where she's come forward a lot, and she seems to have not done so much of that, or particularly in this match. But that was a stunning point. And as you say, she won here in 21. She also won the US Open with Elise Mertens in 2019. And I think it would be smart if she could come forward a little bit more.
They then decided that they would separate largely so Sabalenka could focus on her singles, and while Elise Mertens is obviously a very good singles player herself, she still juggles the doubles and the singles in Grand Slams. Sabalenka, a little look across to her box. She's at the far end from her box at the moment. She is at 30 love, looking for 5-4 in this first set of the semi-final, with Aryna Rybakina awaiting the winner in Saturday's final. The hush around the Rod Laver Arena. The time 10:20 in the evening on a Thursday night, and the serve missed from Sabalenka. Constantly moving is Magda Linette. Feet together, and she bounces up, then the wide stance and the frantic, almost frantic swaying of the top of her body, then back onto her toes she goes again, plays the backhand, gets it in play, the backhand switch cross court, and deep and perfect placement from Sabalenka.
Yeah, that one smacked away effortlessly, and you don't want to be dropping too many balls short in the court so that she can get that weight going behind the ball and forward, stepping in on it. Wasn't under any real pressure with that backhand.
Game points. Oh, there's the first ace for Sabalenka of this semi-final. It closes out a comfortable hold, and what it will do once again is put the pressure on Linette, because she'll be coming behind to serve to stay in the set. And I remember you were speaking pre-match of seeing Sabalenka for the first time at Eastbourne, speaking to her. I remember my first sighting of her was what used to be the Fed Cup, now the Billie Jean King Cup. It was when she was a teenager. It was indoors, and she was noisy, even noisier than she probably is now.
Oh, yeah.
And it really was see ball, hit ball, and it was so much fun, and it was so exciting. I remember at the time thinking, I hope she keeps a lot of this about her and continues to rise, because it's great to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And, I remember reading an interview that her former coach, Dmitry Tursunov, the former ATP Tour player that was with her for quite some time and also developed her quite considerably, I think. And they used to have quite a sort of a ding-dong match when he'd come on for the coaching sessions. But he said she was someone, because she was so raw and so exciting, but she felt that, I think some of the coaches back home in her home country had sort of described her as a bit stupid on the court, and it really hurt her, and she didn't ever want to be thought of like that. She felt like no one respected her. They just thought, oh, she just whacks the ball and that's all she does. She hits it hard, but she doesn't really think out there. And I think she's desperate to prove all those people wrong, that she is a smart tactical player as well as having all this talent with the power. And as I said to you, Gigi, when we were not on air, but for somebody who's won 11 titles on the tour, that's not somebody who's stupid on a tennis court. That's a lot of titles.
And reaching the final of the WTA finals, I mentioned the list of players she beat: Swiatek, Jabeur and Pegula. Forehand from Sabalenka, crunches it down the line, then she switches it back and it hits top of the net, sits up for the forehand cross court from Linette, forehand cross court from Sabalenka. Wow! She absorbed the pace and the power of that shot, Linette, and she redirected for the winner.
And that got a real reaction from the crowd here, didn't it? Because she actually, for the first time in this match, overpowered Sabalenka and out-hit her and outplayed her in that last rally. And I don't think Sabalenka's used to that.
Sabalenka was thinking, well, hang on a second, mine is the power game. What's going on here? Linette 4-5, 15 love, misses by a way off the first serve. So Sabalenka just creeps inside the baseline, wide stance, and says, all right then, pressure's on. Twisting the racket, Sabalenka. Bend of the knee, swaying from side to side. Linette reaching up with the serve, and serve. That one sits up. It's sat up to be struck, but the net is found.
Yeah, real frustration there for Sabalenka, because that was a hittable return of serve. And again, it's just another situation where she's not making Linette earn that point. Already 30 love to try and equal this scoreline. She's got to cut those errors out.
30 love. Linette serves down the tee. The backhands are playing onto the service line down the line. Sabalenka with the backhand cross-court. Sabalenka takes the racket back, goes inside out with the forehand. This is great defence from Linette. She's making Sabalenka play. She wants to draw the error. She flips the forehand cross-court. Sabalenka, she gets the power she needed on the ball. She draws the error.
As you said, Gigi, the facial expressions on Sabalenka really tell a story, don't they? And you can see that she knows what she's got to do to win this match. She knows she's got more power and capability, but I feel like she's constantly battling herself and her own emotions and mind in this opening set. It's stressful for her.
30-15. Linette down the tee, forehand snap back and deep, and Sabalenka, oh, you knew what she was trying. She was trying to shorten the ball, find the angle. She misses it. She cannot believe she missed it. Game points.
Yeah, and she didn't want to work that point and earn it with constructing it and having a little bit more patience. She just wanted a quick winner off that forehand. She took a risk on it and it didn't pay off. And I don't think that type of tennis is working at the moment.
So down the tee, the off backhand is netted, and we lock ourselves in at 5 games all. The sigh from Sabalenka, the shrug of the shoulders. There's a lovely post. It's a big white piece of card, and in red felt tip, Magda, and through the middle, through the G, there's a big red heart.
Yes, it was quite nice, wasn't it? Very creative. She's got a lot of fans out there, and I think her tennis is winning this crowd over as well. They're very evenly matched in terms of who they're supporting, but I think they're really appreciating Linette, who they probably don't know so much about.
I'm sure a lot of those Polish fans who bought tickets thought it was going to be Iga Świątek that they'd be watching today.
Yeah, very good point.
Oh yeah, there's the Magda chants. Everyone is silent. Very well behaved crowd this evening. Sabalenka, up she goes, tosses the ball, serves out wide and misses. Every time after she misses a serve, she sweeps her hand across the top of her head, getting rid of any stray strands of hair. Double fault.
No,
first one.
Yeah, first one. I've been really keeping an eye on that serve and been impressed with how solid it's been. You know, the good technique. It's never looked like missing. She's got sort of you've got to be aggressive with second serves. You've got to back yourself. But she's put a lot of spin and a lot of margin on it. So that's the first sign of frailty there.
15 all. Serve misses down the tee.
And interesting that she went for that first serve, which is kind of a good sign in a way. But now she's put massive pressure on herself for a second serve here.
15 all, 5 all, first set, second serve. Ball goes out wide on the angle. She stretches Linette. She draws the error and she edges ahead 30-15.
Wow, that was brave, that second serve, wasn't it? Went after it. Very aggressive. It was really into that corner. I felt like that was rolling the dice right there. That was like one of those Nick Kyrgios second serves that he goes for.
Also, Daniil Medvedev's another one, isn't he, that throws in the big second serves. It was an enormous first serve, but it clipped the top of the net. Sabalenka, just a few firm bounces of the ball. Listening to Tennis Breakfast. Lovely to have your company on day 11, I think we are now, of the Australian Open. Block back, sits up, Sabalenka with the backhand, sweeps it cross-court on the ankle. The slice from Linette. Linette with the forehand go back up the line, repositioning the slice cross-court from Sabalenka. They're slicing each other now, taking the pace off. Now the backhand flat from Sabalenka. Sabalenka double-hander cross-court, redirects up line. She's down on the floor with her racket, Linette. She plays this squash shot, but there was a lot for Linette to do to recover. She wasn't able to do it in time, and it's game point Sabalenka.
Well, Sabalenka's coach is on his feet, really clapping loudly applause for that last point, because that was a bit edgy at the start of that point, and Sabalenka just didn't try to do too much this time. She worked the point, much more patience, waiting to then go into the corners. That was so much better from her.
Game points for 6-5. Ace. There was a slight pause. No call came. Confirmed as a second ace of the match for Aryna Sabalenka. And if someone's just switching on now, Annabelle, as people do throughout the day with the radio, we are 11 games in. What would your assessment be after 39 minutes of play?
Well, my assessment would be we're not seeing Sabalenka at her best, that's for sure, but she's fighting hard to stay out in front, and I would say it was the most horrendous and worst possible start that she could have had, and it was very ominous from the beginning because she was just spraying balls around the way she can, and it's been really impressive from Linette. She's made her work hard, she's served beautifully, she's kept the scoreline tight, and that in itself has asked a lot of questions of Sabalenka, but I would say it's kind of fluctuating in terms of where Sabalenka's level and belief in her own shot making is. She doesn't totally trust herself with when she's going after the big winners. She wants to hit quick winners, but she's not completely trusting herself, and I don't think she's returned particularly well.
So room for improvement.
Definitely.
Haven't had any breakpoint opportunities since the fourth game when Sabalenka got the break back for 2-all. Nothing since then. It's looked more comfortable with the Linette holds of serve than the Sabalenkas. But now it's Magda Linette for the second time in this first set, serving to stay in the set. 5-6. Exhales, reaches up, tosses that ball, serves out wide, forehand slam back. It's switched cross court, but netted from Linette, and that all-important first point goes against the serve.
Yeah, that was a little bit tentative, wasn't it? And good direction on that return, but it was still a makeable ball, that backhand. She just slightly kind of hesitated and pulled back off it. Raises her head to the sky. She knows how important that was.
Yeah, so annoyed with herself, wasn't she? Now she misses the first serve out wide. Sabalenka decides not to come in though. She's staying behind the baseline. Wide stance. Stays on her toes, keeps her position, and it's a double fault, and that wasn't even under pressure from Sabalenka.
Well, I think Pat Cash told us, didn't he, that he knows Linette's game very well. He said when things get a little tight and edgy, she can double fault, she gets a bit nervous, and I think this is the very first time that we've seen that. Up until now, she's been really rock solid.
Love 35-6. Sabalenka is 2 points away from the first set of this semi-final. Serve down the tee, the off backhand. Oh, that's a beast of a shot from Sabalenka. Through the middle goes the Belarusian. The defence being played by the Pole, who goes backhand cross. Got the redirection up the line from Sabalenka. Sabalenka's giving it everything, but she nets. You could hear as the noises were getting louder, she was ready to tee off, but she finds the net.
She was ready to celebrate as well, wasn't she? You just sensed that she thought she'd done enough and then was a bit shocked when it clipped the top of the net. Still very stressed expression on her face. More work to do here.
15-30, that exhalation from Linette before she reaches up and serves down the tee, and the forehand is lofted up its middle of the court. Linette can pick her spot, which she does, with a high inside-out forehand to level us up at 30-all.
30-all.
Yeah, more Polish flags being waved around, and an excellent first serve, wasn't it? Good direction. Sabalenka didn't read it, didn't get a good hit on it, and nicely put away.
42 minutes played. 10:30 in the evening local time on Thursday night, 11:30 in the morning here in the UK. Cut back by Sabalenka. Very deep and well played from Linette, who goes from love 30 to game point to take us into a first set tiebreak.
Yeah, and very smart use of the serve there. She swung that one into the body of Sabalenka, which sort of tucked her up, and it enabled her to get the short reply, and then she could go after that forehand. But just clever use of not a huge serve. It was very smart tactically.
The stare from Sabalenka towards her box. Game point for Linette. Misses the first serve out wide. Little hop and then back into position. Twist the racket with the right hand. Linette starts the bouncing with the face of the racket, and now with the left hand. Ball comes to the throat of the racket. She pauses. She rocks back, swings the arm, tosses the ball, serves out wide. The backhand cross-court from Linette. Linette with the backhand pushes Sabalenka back and manages to pull the ball through the middle of the court. Heavy hitting this from Sabalenka, but it's defended well by Linette, who takes the pace off with a slice down the line. Forehand whip. Cross-court is a winner from Sabalenka, and it's deuce.
Wow, she did well there, Sabalenka, because Linette was throwing in a couple of slice backhands, and sometimes that's enough to make Sabalenka miss. Just the change of slice and spin and pace. We've got 16 winners to 6 now from Sabalenka, but she dealt with that second slice really well. Got the racket head below it, got it through the court.
Pressure moment for Linette, who serves out wide. The forehand goes cross-court on the angle. It's a middle of the court ball. It's through the middle from Sabalenka. Sabalenka, who's charging from side to side. Down on her haunches goes Linette. Backhand cross-court from Linette, who's out of court. The backhand cross-court very deep from Sabalenka. What an angle from Linette. Lovely angle, but a little bit short from Sabalenka. Sabalenka goes cross-court, but she nets. Great retrieving from Magda, Linette, who has a point for the tie-break.
Oh, and Sabalenka can't believe she missed that ball. She did everything right there. Cute angle, opened it up, just needed to get the forehand cross court. And it was there. She can't believe, that was just edgy, wasn't it? She doubted herself. She sort of pushed it with all arm. Just needed to release. Easier said than done.
Polish gentleman delighted there, wasn't he? He was up and down and clapping away.
That should have been set point to Sabalenka.
Game point to Linette. Serve out wide, back to the toes of the Polish player, who just finds a sideline. She didn't think she had. She has to reset. Oh no, it was going out. It clips the top of the tape. It turns direction. It lands in. And here we go. First set tiebreak of this second semi-final with 45 minutes on the clock.
Well, again, Sabalenka can't believe she's just hit that one with the top of the net. She had half a smile on her face. And a little unlucky there. I mean, just tight. She's much tighter than Linette. Although the first part of that game, love 30, that opportunity with the big forehand winner down the line, she must have thought the set was hers.
Missed first serve from Sabalenka, who is serving the first point of this first set tiebreak. Yet to drop a set this year. Remember, Aryna Sabalenka, 18 straight sets. Forehand cross-court crunch, but down the line for a winner goes Sabalenka.
1-0.
Well, that's a good start. You know, you're not quite sure, as we keep saying, what you're going to get with Sabalenka, but really good serve, really good winner.
Magda Linette settles herself. Her dark blonde hair tied into a plait and then rolled into a knot at the back of her head. Clip the top of the net with the first serve. She'll have another go with that ball. Magda Linette, who has won 8 matches and lost 2 in 2023. She got 3 wins at the United Cup as part of Team Poland. They reached the semi-finals, 1 defeat there. And Hobart, it was a first round defeat. Linette steadies herself. Serve, that's a very deep serve. The backhand cross-court, they go with the double hand. The redirection from Sabalenka. So much power on that ball.
Well, that was breathtaking, wasn't it? Because I was just thinking Linette, you know, just playing a nice solid point there. Nothing wrong with the backhand she hit cross-court. Maybe it lifted up a little bit in terms of where the ball landed and it was right into the strike zone. But I mean, Sabalenka, the ability to just hit through the court, find way more power. That was impressive.
Little fist pump from the Belarusian. She has the mini break and now she's got a second serve to look at, and the second of the 2 points that Magda Linette has at this stage in the first set tiebreak. Bit of a breeze blowing the stray wisps of Linette's hair. She serves down the tee, the off backhand into the corner, pushes Linette back, gets a short ball. Oh, totally in control of that point. Outpowering Magda Linette. 3-0 Sabalenka.
Well, that's the kind of tennis that has got her to win that title ahead of this Australian Open, and then got her powering through all of her matches without dropping a set to get to here. So I think she's desperately trying to find that kind of rhythm and that sort of ball striking. And it's been an uphill battle, but she's looking like she's winning the battle of her own mind.
4-0.
Big serving, 4-0. Clean sweep of the first 4 points in this tiebreak. Just uses the bottom of the dress just to wipe the sweat off the handle of the racket. Belarusian tosses that ball up high and misses down the tee. A couple of aces and 1 double fault so far for Sabalenka through the first 49 minutes of this semi-final. Just telling herself to come on in her 4th major semi-final from the past 6 majors. She got a little bit...
Was that a fly that just flew
distracted
in front of her face? I think it was.
Get all sorts flying around at this time of night. Oh,
5-0.
but then she aces. for a third ace, and she looks up to the skies and doesn't look particularly happy right now, but she has a 5-0 lead.
I'm not sure she intended it to be that good, that serve. It just hit the outside edge of the line and she'd been distracted. That could easily have been a double fault. I have to admire the way she's sort of digging through in this first set, playing a really good tie break here.
One more point before they change ends. Linette serves out wide, the backhand cross-court to the service, and the backhand down the line, swung cross-court from Sabalenka, off the shoelaces of Linette, short ball for Sabalenka to push away into the open court. She jogs back to her bench. She has a clean sweep of the first 6 points in this first set tiebreak, looking for her 19th straight set of tennis in 2023, and for all the world, it looks like Annabel Croft, she's going to do just that.
It certainly does now. I mean, she's calmed down a lot, and you know, she's really brought those margins in. She's just more in control of everything, to be honest, but she's also got that ability to just put her foot down on the accelerator and slam it down and hit some winners as well. So we're getting a bit of a good blend at the moment with patience, you know, enough margin, but also the winners and the power as well, which is exactly what she needs. I mean, she couldn't have played a more perfect tiebreak here.
6 set points, the first of which will be on the Linette serve, with the players having changed ends. Wide stance of Sabalenka, who then through the middle of the court goes Linette. The backhand through the middle goes Sabalenka with a forehand cross-court to the service line. She holds her stance in Linette. She steps inside the baseline, plays the off forehand. She's come forward. She has to scamper back because the ball does not, luckily for her, find the court, and mutter to herself, Sabalenka. She shouldn't be too worried because she has 5 set points remaining and the next 2 if needed on her serve.
Yeah, she just went for that slice backhand, and again, a lot of balls up the middle from Sabalenka, and then just a tiny bit, not sluggish, but just didn't do much with that slice and paid the price. It sort of floated and enabled Linette to step in and come forward.
Set point. Nets off the first serve, swivels round, ball from the shorts on the left-hand side. 51 minutes on the match clock. Sabalenka serves out wide. The backhand is in play cross-court. The backhand swished cross-court. The pick-up from Linette. Sabalenka opens up the forehand now, swings it into the far corner. And there it is. Had 6 set points. She got it done on the second of those 6 on her serve. Not the cleanest set of tennis you will see from Aryna Sabalenka, but it was about getting the job done. In 51 minutes, Annabel Croft, she did exactly that, dominating in the end in the tiebreak.
Yes, and good to see her playing some better tennis, and she must feel an awful lot better now, sitting down at the change of ends, having sort of fought her way through, having not produced her best tennis in that first set, but much better than sitting down, having work to do and facing an uphill battle and potentially a best of 3 set match against a very impressive opponent, I have to say, for someone who's come into their first Grand Slam semi-final at the age of 30. And is it 30 slams she's had to play to get here? It's just been really, really impressive. No sign of any nerves or intimidation, just maybe when she was trying to level up the score when she was love 30 to get to the tie-break. That was the first sign of nerves that we'd seen, but she sort of stamped on that. I mean, she's really made Sabalenka work for that first set. It took 51 minutes to get through. And I think also the fact that it was such an awful start from Sabalenka did so well to work her way back, and I think we'll see a much better second set from Sabalenka now. I think with that you know, set in the bag, you can play with a little bit more freedom. I just hope that we start to see her tennis flow, because she wants to end this match going into a final, her first Grand Slam final against Rybakina, with her best level. And I'm not sure right now if she was to do that, she'd feel like she was at her best.
Magda Linette has just taken a comfort break. If you're just joining us on Tennis Breakfast, it's lovely to have your company. We can tell you that a result from earlier in the day saw Aryna Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion, come through against Victoria Azarenka 7-6, 6-3. Sabalenka said, "I'd love it to be an all Belarusian final." Well, it won't be, because Aryna Rybakina from Kazakhstan has booked her place in the final. British news from earlier today. We had double joy for Alfie Hewitt through to the men's wheelchair singles final, where he will take on Tokito Oda, the Japanese player who's just 16 years of age, runner-up the last 2 years, Hewitt here in the singles. But then the 3-time defending champions Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid, straight sets to come through and back into the men's doubles final. we had semi-finals disappointment for Lucy Schuker and Dana Matthewson, losing out to Dida de Groot and Aniek van Koot, who are an absolutely phenomenal pair and a formidable pair. And Rana Stoiber in the girls singles came through her quarter-final. She's the 13th seed, 17 years of age. She's through to these semi-finals where she'll face the 7th seed in Mira Andreev. Don't forget, we got men's semi-final action for you tomorrow through the middle of the night. Karen Khachanov and Stefanos Tsitsipas, 8:30 a.m. Novak Djokovic against Tommy Paul. But looking forward to what this second set will hold. Is it going to be straightforward now? Sabalenka has got that first set, or will the doubts and the gremlins creep in? We shall find out here on Tennis Breakfast in the company of your commentary team of Annabelle Croft and David Law.
Thank you very much, Gigi. Yeah, that was a really good set of tennis, and maybe a better set of tennis than I expected, given the head-to-head between these two coming into this match, which was so emphatically in the favour of Aryna Sabalenka that I thought we might not have much of a match here, to be quite honest with you. 6-2, 6-1 at the Olympics was the most recent one for Aryna Sabalenka, and 6-1, 6-3 was the other one from 5 years ago. But Magda Linette, just as she has really throughout all of this tournament, has shown she's a much, much better player than she was back then. And she made that really tricky for Aryna Sabalenka, who perhaps wasn't in the greatest form very early on. It's a cooler night. And, you know, she's lost some semi-finals of Grand Slam tournaments. So there's a lot going on there for Aryna Sabalenka, and the fact is she came alive when it mattered most in the tie-break, won that first set, and is now a set away rather, from a final meeting with Elena Rybakina, the Wimbledon champion. What can Magda Linette do about it? Well, we know that she will keep on coming and keep on persevering and trying to find solutions, because that's the kind of player she is. It's a forehand cross court, that's a deep shot. The big hitting and the big sounds are coming from the other end of the court, with Aryna Sabalenka, who hits cross court with a backhand, slice backhand, drop shot from Magda Linette, but it's punished by the forehand cross court of Sabalenka, who was up to that quickly, Annabelle. I think she knew it was coming.
Oh, absolutely. It was a bit of a telegram, wasn't it? And way too much height on it from Magda Linette, and Sabalenka just too much time. The one thing you don't want is your opponent who's chasing down a drop shot to be above the height of the net. You want that drop shot to be, it might have height on it when you hit it, but then when it hits the court the other end, it will die, and they're having to sort of scoop it up from underneath the height of the net. That wasn't the case that time.
Annabelle Croft here with us on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra on BBC Sounds. If you need to go out, if you are out, you can carry on listening to us on the BBC Sounds app or the BBC Sport website and app. There's the live text commentary, hashtag BBC Tennis, if you'd like to share some thoughts on what you're hearing and listening, and you can also listen to us through that BBC Sport app as well. There's a backhand in the middle from Sabalenka, inside out forehand, very accurately struck by Linette. She really does spread the play very well, and she's won that point as the forehand is slashed down the centre, drifting with backspin from Sabalenka. And Linette is such a clever player, Annabelle. I mean, it's like, I sometimes feel as though she might be from another era, the way she plays the sport. Just sort of moves opponents around, puts them in really uncomfortable parts of the court. She doesn't hit the ball that hard, but it's almost like she doesn't need to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot more to her than you would think, you know, when you look at her ranking at 45. Okay, she's been a bit higher than that at 33 back in February of 2020, but she's deceptively good, and I think she's really a great thinker on the court as well, very intelligent match player, you know, really thinks through the tactics and how to apply her best level, and wonderful that she's had this great run through here, a little bit like we said of Collins, who'd been out on the tour as well, probably a bit younger than Linette last year. But you know, it's so nice when you see someone who, you know, has been out there sort of persevering for a long time, and they finally get their chance.
Having a moment, and we saw that from Tatiana Maria, of course, getting to the semi-finals of Wimbledon last year, and a serve by Linette cramps up Sabalenka, who hits the inside-out backhand long, and Sabalenka gives some great facial expressions to tell you exactly how she's feeling, and that one was pure exasperation and frustration. Point for Linette to get the first game of the second set. She's lost the first set 7-6, but she's right in there still. Her level hasn't dropped. Forehand cross-court by Linette, forehand netted by Sabalenka. I think that's a really impressive hold of serve, Annabelle, when you've just had the disappointment of losing a set on a tie-break that you're right in, and then come out and hold for your own.
Definitely. I mean, it would have been easy to see her just go away from this match mentally, but that still creates that little bit of doubt for Sabalenka that she's going to have another fight on her hands in this second set. And just good at getting the ball back into play, but also, as you said, spreading the court, moving Sabalenka around, not enabling Sabalenka to be in position to hit those big booming ground strokes, and she's done a very good job of that.
Yeah, she sure has. We're seeing some very bizarre statistics being shown on our screen,
Well,
telling us all
you said
about
they're bizarre. I couldn't work them out.
and density and goodness. I have no idea what half of these stats are that they put up on our screen.
Well, I was trying to study those ones, and it was intensity moments or something, and you're right. It just was quite... Yeah, I didn't really understand it myself, I have to be honest.
I mean, frankly, all I see is players doing sprints, so I don't know how or why they're really trying to measure them. But anyway, forehand cross-court smacked away by Sabalenka, who gets to 15 love.
Well, they sometimes put up heat maps, and I always find those quite amusing, because it always looks like a fried egg in the middle of the court, doesn't it? Sort of usually has a yellow blob, and you're sort of like, oh, that's where they're playing most of their tennis, but it does look like a fried egg.
And I'm not entirely sold on how useful they are, but anyway, there we are. Forehand hit cross-court by Sabalenka. She's netted that, and Linette is just starting to nip away. She's got that slightly irritating way of just staying in a rally and staying in a match and saying to Sabalenka, I don't reckon you can hit another winner.
Yeah, she's done a really good job of just staying solid, asking lots of questions of Sabalenka and hoping that she can produce those errors.
Well, that's one way to answer, isn't it? Goodness me, what a serve out wide from Sabalenka in front of us. And she has vocal accompaniment to go with the awesome power of that serve. 30-15, love one in the second set. And that one goes down the centre as well. I mean, I remember when I first saw Sabalenka play, it was actually here against Ash Barty, and the crowd started laughing at her. I mean, I thought it was quite mean in a way, but the noise she was making was so much louder than what it is right now. She's actually, I think, learnt to sort of quieten it down a bit, to be honest with you. I mean, look, there's loads of blokes who make noise as well. Rafael Nadal makes a right old racket when he hits the ball as well. But yes, I think it took the locals a bit by surprise back then. It's love one, 30-all. Sabalenka now serves down the centre, and now drifting back onto the baseline from Linette, who's staying in the rallies and being irritating, but she's just gone along with the forehand, and she just sort of jumped up in the air as she tried to look over the net to see if it was going to land in or not.
Yeah, that was a smart return, wasn't it? That blocked, sort of chipped, floated thing that just stood invitingly, but on the very back of the baseline, and Sabalenka had a lot of time to try and set up for that, but it's floated, and that means you have to generate the pace, and she did too much.
Crushed cross-court by Aryna Sabalenka, letting out all the frustration of the opponent getting under her skin as she walks back towards us with her eyes closed as if to say, oh, that felt better.
Yes, I mean, she really does wear her heart on her sleeve, and as you said, we really do know all the emotions that she's going through, but it makes her kind of it draws you to her, actually, because you're kind of living every moment with her. She's quite a character, isn't she? But she's also got that sort of twinkle in her eye.
Yes, I think she does. I think she doesn't take herself too seriously. She's happy to laugh at herself as she hits her forehand cross-court onto the sideline, and she's stepping it up now. That's love 15 on Linette's serve, and there's no dealing with that sort of power.
Yeah, I always feel... Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, go on.
I do agree that, I mean, that was massive power, wasn't it, on the forehand? But I think, as you say, that sort of little hint of humour with her, where she sort of almost laughs at herself when things aren't always going her way, and it's appealing, her character.
Yep. Here's the forehand cross-court, beautifully struck away by Linette. She completely wrong-footed Sabalenka there. Was trying to outfox her by staying in the backhand corner and making Linette hit back to her, but Linette just kept an eye on her out the corner of her eye and waited for her to make her decision on where she was going to move and hit the ball the other way. So here's 15-all. Forehand hit down into the net from Sabalenka, who just stomps off towards the other side, looking irritated by the fact she just missed that shot. And I tell you what, Annabelle, if Sabalenka does play Rybakina in the final, I mean, you will have two players who hit the ball harder than anybody in the world, I think, but two very, very different characters.
Yeah, couldn't be more opposite, to be honest.
No, they couldn't really, could they? Because you don't hear a peep out of Rybakina. She's just she just goes out there and destroys quietly, whereas Sabalenka's a wrecking ball, and you hear her coming. Here goes her backhand cross-court and deep. Linette isn't ready to give this up, though. She hits her backhand cross-court. Huge power coming at her. She somehow scoops it back. She can't get it back in the court, though, Linette. And these are danger moments now. 1 game all, 30-all.
Well, she's sensing that she can try to really get an early break and really start stamping authority on this match, but it's not been easy for Sabalenka. I think, you know, the fact that, as you said, in their 2 previous matches, she's absolutely dominated this opponent, and today it's a whole different ball game because of the occasion, the importance of this match. Really quite stressful for Sabalenka. She knows.
It is.
If she just plays her game and just comes out and, you know, executes the winners the way that she has done previously, she's into her first Slam final. But it's becoming, it's not easy.
No. Forehand hit down the line by Sabalenka. That's beautifully struck into the corner. And here we go. It's break point Sabalenka. Shishi and I were talking a lot about the things that Sabalenka had discussed, her opponents had discussed, about her keeping calm out there. And that is essential right now. She's got break point, she's sealed break point. Huge backhand return cross court. Linette finally buckled under the sheer weight of that shot. And she's walking back to her chair looking a little bit down in the dumps now, because after 15 minutes of this second set she's been broken early on. It's the first time she's been broken, and that'll hurt a little bit, Annabelle. That might just rock the confidence perhaps of Linette.
Yes, I agree with you. I was looking back at the score sheet from the opening set, and she was the one, Linette, that took the early break. She got a 2-love lead. It was Sabalenka all over the place, spraying balls left, right and centre, battling to get back in. Then she kind of had her nose out in front just purely through serving first, but she never really went ahead and got the break and really was completely in charge of that first set. She had to fight all the way through until the tie break. So you're right, for Linette, this doesn't feel quite so good, does it? Because she's done so well at holding on to that serve just to keep the scoreline tight, and it's just a very different situation now. And it's always the way after a tie break anyway, that it's pretty demoralising, isn't it? If you've pushed the scoreline that close and then you end up the second best in a tie break, you know, you're looking up this massive mountain of not only trying to win this set, but you've got to go the distance to be able to win the match, and that's quite hard. Focus, concentration, everything. But yeah, I still don't think we're seeing Sabalenka's best tennis.
No, she's just trying to manage the occasion as best she can as she serves out wide. That's a good wide serve that's hit the line and moved away from Linette, who just slid into the ball, unable to get it back.
Apart from that one double fault, David, in that second, was it second? I've lost track when it was, actually, not that long ago. The serve has actually looked pretty good today, hasn't it?
Yes. As she moves to her right, hits her forehand on the centre. 15-love Sabalenka leads by a set and 2-1. Quite similar, actually, this match to the first one, which, as Magda Linette hits her backhand into the net, when Aryna had her chances, didn't she, in that first set? And in that match, there were several breaks on either side, but once Rybakina was ahead, the second set was rather more straightforward.
Yeah, you're right. It's very, very similar, the pattern of play. And actually, you're absolutely spot on, because even Rebecca didn't really play her best, I don't think. She got through it, but...
yeah. Little sort of edged forehand by Sabalenka went flying up into the floodlights here and landed only an inch long. So it's 30-15. I mean, I think... Yeah, we have to remember how stressful and how big an occasion this is for these players. I mean, Rebecca is trying to get, managed to get to her second Grand Slam final. It's not like an everyday occurrence. It's not like Novak Djokovic, is it? Who is stressed himself. He's got his own pressures, but at least he's very, very experienced. Here's a Linette backhand down the centre. She's never been in a Grand Slam semi at all. Backhand cross court from her. She's playing so well though, Linette. Comes in, plays a little backhand drop shot. Oh no, she's hit the tape and it's fallen back her own side as she tried to hit that drop shot. That would have taken her to 30 all, instead it's 40-15.
Yeah, big sigh after that one, and it was a good idea. The trouble is that when you've got an opponent like Sabalenka, who's so imposing, the way she comes charging up the court, she knows she would have gone for a big winner had she not got that drop sort of... well, it wasn't a volley, it was a drop shot attempt, but yeah, I think the stress levels were rising on that one.
Backhand cross court by Linette. She's coming in. She's winning the points. Backhand netted by Sabalenka. Just a couple of little signs out here, I think, of Linette maybe changing things up a little bit. Drop shots coming to the net. She has plans B's, C's.
Yeah, David, spot on. I think you're right. She's starting to just change the tactics, ask a few more questions and do something different, because that scoreline is going away from her and she's running out of times. How many other times might she be in a semi-final of a slam? So she's having to pull out some other tricks.
Yeah, you might as well try everything. 2-1 down she is, though. 40-15, 40-30 rather. Sabalenka still with a chance to win this game, and she's done so, because the backhand's gone cross-court and wide from Linette, who's in front of us, trying to just swallow the disappointment of that moment. And the voice you heard was Aryna Sabalenka down the other end.
Yes, and just the fact that she's screaming like that just shows everybody and her opponent just how much stress is still raging through her and needing to let that one out. But I feel as if Linette, maybe, David, even though she's trying different things out here, has just lost a little bit of the intensity. And now we're getting a really good shot of Pat Cash, who was sitting quite close to the action in the court. I'm not quite sure who he's sitting next to. Was that some Aussie singer there, I think? A musician or somebody? It looked like one.
Yes, I saw Pat walking with that person earlier. I'm afraid I can't help with the identity, but... certainly looked like the sort of person that Pat likes to hang out with, who usually plays music.
Yes.
And I sit there going, who's that?
Yeah,
Pat just shakes his head with disappointment at me.
Just seen a stat, 26 winners coming up on our screens here for Sabalenka. So she is starting to really motor now. I didn't think we'd be saying that when she was down 2-love in that opening set.
No. Backhand miscued off the back foot there by Linette, just literally being knocked back by the power of that ground stroke, and it's suddenly love 30 on her serve. I am seeing a photo of the former Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel in the stands, would you believe, on one of the social media accounts. So he knows what he's doing, doesn't he? Comes to the right place. Watch the women's semis. Love 30. This is big for Linette, and she's netted the forehand, and she's got her head in her hands. This is hurting her now, and I think she's really struggling to just hold on to her emotions here. It matters so much to her. She's done so incredibly well to get to this point, but it's just starting to fall away.
Yeah, just the first sign, isn't it, of more vulnerability, being overwhelmed now with the power.
Yeah, here's a backhand from Sabalenka. Lovely forehand on the line by Linette. Forehand volley, has that caught the line? Just yes. And the back forehand lob has gone long by Sabalenka, and Linette is breathing heavily in front of us, just trying to, I think, regulate her breathing almost here.
Yeah, it looks like it's quite high up in her chest, isn't it? She's taking and gulping in some big breaths of air. And what a volley that was. I mean, that couldn't have been any closer to the line. Bit risky, but maybe it's got to be like that to try and beat Sabalenka.
Yeah, still break point though. Forehand cross court by Linette, who's a set and 3-1 down. She hits her backhand off the back foot. A chip cross court. Oh my word, what a shot by Sabalenka to break serve. That wasn't all about power. That was a knifed backhand slice cross court behind Linette. Frankly, it was the sort of shot I would have expected to see from Linette. That was brilliant from Sabalenka to break for 4-1.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And I just feel generally looking at her in the last 10 minutes or so, David, I feel like she's calmer. She's kind of like hitting with a lot more freedom. She looks like she's going for a shot. She trusts herself. There's a whole different feel about the way that she's hitting the ball. She's calmed right down, and I think she's looking at the finish line not too far away, but she knows how to navigate her way on that roadmap to get there. But yeah, I would say she looks a completely different player to the one that was playing for most of this match up until just only about 10 or 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's like the shackles have released, isn't it? It's the nerves have just let go. Got that first set on the board. It was tense, tight. She was often second best really in the set, and she managed to win it. And then suddenly, yes, a big exhalation. I mean, just to give you an idea of what she's been up against, this is the 4th Grand Slam semi-final of Aryna Sabalenka's career. She didn't win any of the other 3. 2021 Wimbledon, 2021 US Open. US Open as well last year. And here she is as well in the semis in Australia. And there will be baggage there from those occasions. And I think Aryna Sabalenka's done a brilliant job of just putting it all behind her, starting again and getting to this position once more. And she's now closing in on her first ever Grand Slam final. Long has gone her backhand though. She's still not there though, Annabelle. It's all well and good me saying she looks like she's composed, but we don't really know how she's going to react.
No, that's true.
In the sort of last few meters that she's got to go, sort of thing.
Well, that's a very good point. As she gets closer to the end, where, you know, as we know, it's the first time she's looking at a potential Grand Slam final where she's really close to it, so maybe the nerves will come back.
Well, she's blasted a forehand long there. That's 15-30. I mean, this is a woman who's won a couple of Grand Slam doubles titles, the US Open 2019 and the Australian Open from a couple of years ago with Elisa Mertens, but still different.
Yeah, it is. It's a much bigger moment for her to overcome, isn't it? And she needs to just keep doing what she's doing in the more recent part of the match, keep staying solid, applying the pressure, not going for too much unless she knows that she can make it, and you know, needs to still keep that solid part of her game going and the patience with the rallies.
Lofted backhand return with topspin from Linette. Oh, what a great shot from the pole. Backhand down the line off the back foot. And she's just constructing rallies, even now, even under this enormous pressure. She constructs rallies so well.
Yeah, that was really good, wasn't it? Taking the cross-court ball down the line, but also taking it so early and set up for it. Got her footwork right, got the balance spot on. Oh, and that was a wayward first serve from Sabalenka. Just getting a few jitters back.
Yep. 2 break back points for Linette here. She's 4-1 down. She returns down the centre with the backhand. Can she get her second game on the board in this set? She'll have a forehand to hit down the line. She can't quite get it back in court. A missile of a forehand cross court by Sabalenka. And actually, Annabelle, once again, this is reminiscent of the first match, isn't it? When Rybakina looked home and dry, and then she got a bit nervous.
Yes. And also the way that Sabalenka opened up the court there, she'd opened up the angle, but almost the opportunity for Linette to hit that as a winner. She wasn't able to control it, but very nearly a good serve there. And that was a tight, edgy looking first serve. Sound like vultures.
Still
over the
break
stadium.
point. Yeah, indeed. Here's a backhand cross-court by Linette. Massive forehand by Sabalenka, and he comes back. Linette's going to turn the tables here. Forehand down the line. Oh dear, she's hit the table, and then it's come back her own side, and she can't believe it. Juice.
Oh, it's a great shame, isn't it? And she's done all the work to open up the court once again, set it up for that forehand winner. And just maybe a touch of hesitation there as she clipped the top of the net. And the pressure points won has come up as a stat on our screens, and Sabalenka's won 14 of them to 8 of Linette, and I would say that pretty much does sum up the match, actually. Still not getting a first serve in here, though.
Seven, 6-4-1 Sabalenka and juice. Serves onto the forehand. Lovely deep return by Linette, who goes down the line. Oh, what a great shot, and she's won the point. Backhand sliced into the ground by Sabalenka, who to our left is throwing her arms up and sighing, but she was just beaten by a brilliant point from her opponent there.
Yeah, that's the third time I've seen Sabalenka go for a slice backhand when she's trying to use it as a defensive shot. And she actually goes from high to low and really swings down into the court and not through the ball. And yeah, it looks like that particular shot needs a bit of work.
Serve doesn't know, does it? Goodness me. What an ace out wide that was. That one was travelling.
Yeah, that's one of the best serves she's hit the entire match. And she'd so love to get this game under her belt, wouldn't she? And that would just free her up to go for returns if she can be 5-1 up rather than 4-2, and then looking like things might change.
Five aces rather from Sabalenka today, and only one double false. I think that was the first point of the match. Second serve at choose. Forehand return cross court by Linette. Wrong footed with an absolutely sweeping forehand cross court from Sabalenka.
And she's shaking her racket with sort of defiance of, right, come on, nearly there. What a massive moment this is going to be if she's able to inch closer to the finish line.
Point for 5-1. Serves out wide. She's got it, Sabalenka. Wide goes the backhand return, and once again, Annabelle, she's shaking that racket in her hand, and she's just trying to hold on to her nerves and get over the line.
Yes, I've been very admiring of how she copes with certain situations, because as we keep on underlining, I mean, it was an awful, awful start. And she said in that interview, didn't she, that we played in ahead of this match, that it was all about her trying to control her emotions and control herself. And, you know, you sensed, oh, she was in a terrible place at the beginning, but she's managed to really fight through that and get herself into this winning position.
Yeah. So, one more game required for Sabalenka. Can Magda Linette just extend this a little bit further? She's played such a great part in this match, and whilst 5-1 sounds incredibly one-sided, it actually doesn't feel really like that, watching the points unfold. Magda Linette still playing well. Backhand down the centre from her. They're trading down the middle of the court. It won't take long for Linette to start trying to spread the play, as she does there with a backhand on the line, but that one's maybe going for too much of an outright winner, and she's missed.
Yes, I think her own belief is not really there at the moment. She's slightly gone into her shell a bit. I mean, she's fighting and doing what she can, but you don't really feel that she believes.
Linette at love 15. Just trying to make Sabalenka serve for this if she can. Backhand slice return by Sabalenka. Long goes Linette.
Yeah, she lifted up off that backhand. Looks really exasperated down the other end. She looks almost emotional, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think she is. I think she is trying to hold on to it, but she so much wanted more. When I spoke to her yesterday, she was immensely proud at reaching her first ever Grand Slam semi-final, but she said, I don't want to stop now. I want to keep going, so I don't want to get too excited. And players, they come out onto the court with such hope and dreams, and it's hard when they suddenly realise that it's not going to happen. Backhand inside out, struck by Sabalenka. That one's gone into the tram lines. And I was thinking back to when we were watching Alex de Minaur the other day, Annabelle, you know, and he tries so hard, and after, he got to 2-2, and then he barely won another game against Novak Djokovic.
That was pretty tight at that stage, wasn't it? And then just went completely away, and then, just couldn't do anything.
The realisation of how great Djokovic is and how much better he is than yourself. Here's the forehand cross-court by Sabalenka, still being hooked back by Linette, but that's not coming back. That backhand is unplayable from Aryna Sabalenka, who is breathing deeply, trying to stay composed, little clench of the fist, little slap of the left leg. She just wants to keep going, and if she can do that, she's going to win this next point, and she's going to reach her first ever Grand Slam final. This is the 4th Grand Slam semi-final of Aryna Sabalenka's career. This to reach her first ever singles final. Long goes the first serve from Magda, who's had the most incredibly impressive couple of weeks. Never got near a Grand Slam semi-final before, but the journey could be about to end at the hands of Aryna Sabalenka, who hits the top of the net with a backhand. Now she lines up another one, but goes halfway at the net and then sort of dramatically sighs.
I feel like she wants to finish with a flourish, doesn't she? She's sort of going for them haymakers at the end, but just pulled up off that one a little bit.
Aryna Sabalenka's a player we've been talking about for years because of her extraordinary power and ability. But it's taken until now. Is this the moment? The first serve goes long for Magda. Sabalenka steadies herself. She wants this over. She wants to reach that first ever Grand Slam singles final. She returns with a backhand cross-court. Return down the middle by Linette. Forehand blasted long by Sabalenka, and now her arms are going all over the place, and she's got back to juice, and she walks towards my commentary box window here, and she is fed up.
Well, it's the manner in how she misses sometimes, isn't it? A couple of these shots just missing by a long way. And Linette has played the entire match with a twisted top, and someone needs to go and just untwist it. But
it's the thing that gets to you when you watch, isn't it? Lovely backhand struck by Sabalenka, and into the net goes Linette with her backhand, and this is going to be match point number 3 for Aryna Sabalenka, who looks grumpy at the fact that she didn't take the first 2 match points, as if to say, well, am I going to do it on the 3rd one or what? I'm sick of this. Match point number 3 for Sabalenka to reach her first ever Grand Slam singles final. She watches that serve go long from Magda Linette. Plants those feet to Sabalenka, spins the racket, one more haymaker, and she's where she's always wanted to be. She hits her backhand cross-court, it's deep. Now she hits her forehand cross-court. Linette goes cross-court with her forehand. There's the big forehand cross-court, misses by Sabalenka. 3 have gone over.
Well, that was a good point from Linette, wasn't it? A really good serve, really good direction, as you've been saying the whole way through this match, the way she can move the ball around, and no sign of nerves from her. She's just going to make Sabalenka earn this. She's not going to hand it across with an error. 5.5 minutes on this game now.
What's going through Sabalenka's mind now? He's got a healthy lead, 7-6, 5-1, but 3 chances have come and gone. It's deuce. Serve down the middle from Linette, netted backhand by Sabalenka, and she's falling over almost as she hits that, and she's just stomping off again. Magda Linette is doing her job, asking the questions. This to make Sabalenka have to serve for it. after a sit-down of a couple of minutes, which probably wouldn't be the most comfortable sit-down Aryna Sabalenka's ever had. Serve onto the backhand of Sabalenka, who crashes it down the centre, and she goes down the line now. Forehand cross-court by Linette, she's in charge of the rally. Lob lifted by Sabalenka, long! 3 match points have come and gone, and now she's got to sit for a couple of minutes and think about it.
Some enthusiastic fans in the crowd, really making their presence felt as well. And as you say, David, there's a lot to think about for Sabalenka. Very slow walk to that change of ends. I'm sure she's going to try not to think too much at this change of ends, to be honest. You know, it's funny, isn't it, how, you know, the scoreline, the pressures, the nature of the sport of tennis, how suddenly when you get yourself into that winning position, you are 1 point from getting over the line, and suddenly the court down the other end just shrinks. And it's the most difficult thing to get the ball in the court and finish off a match, because of also how big an occasion this is. But what a great game to get through for Linette.
Yeah, it's what I love about the sport, is seeing players. I saw it with Jensen Brooksby when he managed to get his win earlier this tournament against Casper Ruud. You know, he'd been in total charge, 2 sets and a break, and then suddenly when he's serving for the match, he looked like a different player, and it took him an extra set to get over the line. Nerves come into play. But Aryna Sabalenka is serving for a place in her first Grand Slam singles final. She's had 3 match points already. Now, can Linette make it increasingly uncomfortable for her? Forehand down the line for her. Big backhand cross-court off the top of the net from Sabalenka. Little attempted, improvised, underspun backhand from Linette, but she couldn't get it back in court.
Well, still, even though she won that point, not going to make Sabalenka feel great, because it wasn't a clean strike on the backhand, and hitting the top of the net, it still wasn't particularly convincing.
No. 15 loves though, Sabalenka.
She's still going after these first serves, but not getting so many free points. She's having to go for second serves. Oh no.
Double fault.
Oh gosh, she rushed that, David. She really needed to take more
smiling.
time.
Oh dear, it's a sort of smile through her teeth though. 15 all, big serve down the middle. Sabalenka with the forehand. That's what she wanted, that's what she needed.
Well, that is brave, because when you're not getting the first serves in, and you know, she went for it that time. She could easily have pulled back after the double fault and just thought, right, I'm going to spin this with 3/4 pace to get that first serve into play. But it's paid off, because she had a big serve, got the shorter reply, and now she's 30-15.
Another huge serve, it comes back. Forehand cross-court by Sabalenka. This to set up match point once again. She can't. Nets the forehand.
Ooh, that's more like the forehands we saw at the beginning of this match, turning the racket face over midway through the swing, not releasing on it, not looking smooth. And you can see from her facial expressions that she's battling herself once again here.
But then she unleashes a 187km/h serve. That was perfection. And it brings up match point number 4 for Aryna Sabalenka to finally get over the line, to finally reach her first Grand Slam singles final. Serves out wide, blocked back into the air it goes. This to put away for Sabalenka, and she has! And finally, Aryna Sabalenka is where she always wanted to be, into a Grand Slam singles final against the admirable Pole, Magda Linette. And it means that Aryna Sabalenka will face the Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina in a couple of days' time. Absolutely brilliant performance in places, certainly in that second set, and nerves of steel at the end, Annabelle, because that takes some doing when she's as nervous as she actually was.
Oh, absolutely, David. You have to admire how she came through this match, because that wasn't easy. All the pressure on her shoulders. She knew if she could pull out some of that big power and the big serving and string it all together, you know, that she was going to go through this match. But, you know, it's not easy, is it, to actually come out here and execute when you're up against somebody who's solid, going to make you play a lot of balls, was serving pretty well and keeping the scoreline tight. And yeah, there were lots of edgy moments, but she managed to overcome them, which is the most important factor. So she'll go into that first Grand Slam final, and we're just seeing some pictures of a wonderful smile on her face, and so nice to see the release after all that tension. And I think she'll go into it with a lot of confidence.
Aryna, congratulations. 3 times before you've been to a Grand Slam semi-final. 4th time's a charm. You are through to your first Grand Slam final. Did this win mean to you tonight?
Well, yeah, I'm super happy that I was able to get this win. And I mean, she's an unbelievable player. She played really great tennis, and yeah, I'm just super happy right now. And guys, thank you so much for stay late tonight and support us. Thank you. Atmosphere was unbelievable.
Well, Magda did play some great tennis, and she played a great first set, but it seemed like at the beginning at the tie-break you really started to find your game.
Yeah, I would say that I didn't start really well, and then on the tie-break I kind of find my rhythm and just start trusting myself, start going for the shots, and yeah, was great tennis from me on the tie-break.
And I'm not sure, yeah, it was an unbelievable tie-break. And I'm not sure if you know, but your average speed on your forehand is up there with some of the men. I'm just wondering, does... Yes. It's been super impressive, and I'm just wondering, does it feel as good as it looks as we're commentating you in the bunker?
Well, to be honest, not really. I actually think that I hit really slow balls today, but I don't know. Thank you. I mean, I've got good genetics, I guess.
Well, you have actually played a final out here in Rod Laver Arena. You won the doubles in 2021. What does that type of experience, also just winning a major in a doubles, give you going into Saturday's final?
Oh, it's a tough question. I don't know. Just being in the final on these kind of tournaments, it's amazing to feel this atmosphere, to play on these courts, and then yeah, that was a great experience for me, and I hope it's going to help me tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, on Saturday.
Sorry, Saturday. Sorry. I want to play tomorrow.
Okay, lastly, talk about Saturday. Obviously, the matchup. Give us your thoughts on the matchup against Aryna.
Well, she's an amazing player. She's playing a great tennis, super aggressive, and she already got 1 Grand Slam, so she kind of had this experience playing the final. And yeah, it's going to be a great battle. I'm really looking forward for this final.
Well, we are all looking forward to it too. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Aryna Sabalenka another round of applause.
You know, Sabalenka, and the other thing to say, Annabelle, is that's now 20 straight sets of tennis and 10 matches won in 2023.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? I mean, even though that probably was some of the, not the worst tennis, because I haven't seen all her matches, but they've all been pretty clean score lines, whereas that first set was all over the place, wasn't it? It was kind of ugly at times, but I'm just pleased for her that the back end of the match will give her a lot more confidence going into that final. I think they're both going to be pretty nervous in the final in a couple of days' time, but let's see. I think it's going to be a terrific final, actually, even though it's one-sided head-to-head.